The following program is furnished by Survive to Thrive Enterprises and is responsible for its content. Your hour of Thrive Time begins now with your host, Jay Maymi, on the Jay Maymi Talk Show.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are listening to this premiere broadcast of the Jay Maymi Talk Show. I'm Jay Maymi, and it is truly an honor and a pleasure to have you join me as I launch into this wonderful new show and forge into an exciting time of radio broadcasting together. And I trust that you will make this next hour of what I'm calling Thrive Time a weekly part of your schedule. I hope that you carve out Sundays at 11 to 12 to really plug into a show that I believe is going to give you the information, the wisdom, the content, and certainly the stories that can help you thrive. That's what this show is all about. So whether you tune in live or listen in through the Listen Live or Listen Now feature on the station's website, or just check out the recordings on the archive, I'm hoping that you make this a weekly part of your schedule, because we'd love to have you from week to week on the Jay Maymi Talk Show. Now, before I get started, I'd like to give a few quick shout-outs to some friends and clients and fans and followers who are tuning into the premiere right now. I got to tell you something. Your ongoing love and support is greatly appreciated and cherished. And there are a few more people that are listening that are such an integral part of my life and journey that I have to give them a special recognition. And that's my wife, Yvette, who is also my business partner and my creative designer. She's truly a rock star in every sense of the word. And I want to give a shout out to my children, Caleb, Keanu, and Kaylin, budding entrepreneurs in the making. We're going to talk more about how to raise entrepreneurial children in one of our future shows. But my brother, my twin brother, as you get to know me, you realize I've got a twin. I want to recognize him, Joe Maymi, and my amazing sister, Laura, who are listening right now. And, of course, my mother, Amalia, who has been the bedrock of our family for 60 years now. I love you guys very, very much and really appreciate your support as we launch into a new phase of my life and the expansion of my career. Now, here's what I know. I know that many of you right now are wondering, who is Jay Maymi? Who is this guy? Well, let me give you a little bit about myself so you can become familiar, because I know we're going to be family. We're going to be family. We're going to get a chance to know each other really, really well. And as you continue this journey with me, you definitely want to know who you are going to be investing your time with on a weekly basis. I am a 35-year entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 15 years old, and I'll share that story with you later on. But I've had a chance now over the course of 35 years of an entrepreneurial life to author 10 books. I've run multiple companies. I've been in the entertainment industry. I am an off-Broadway actor. I've also played small parts in Hollywood films, and I've had an entertainment company. I've also had a chance to build a financial services company over the last 25 years and had much success with that in multiple regions of the country. I've also had the ability to coach and work with individuals and corporations on developing better skills in the areas of sales and psychology and communication. But I also do a lot of work with people that are struggling with not just achieving peak performance, but what holds them back. And that's in the areas that I believe are critical when it comes to dealing with what I call head trash or battling those invisible enemies. So my 35 years of entrepreneurial career is so diversified and it's so full and rich of content and experiences that I wanted to have something or a venue that I could certainly showcase that experience in a way that could help you and help your progress and your development. And so hence the show, hence who I am and the reason why you're here today. But I don't want to leave out also that I am the proud son of Alfredo and Amalia Maymi, two marvelous people who came to the United States from Puerto Rico as young newlyweds in the 1960s with their very young baby girl. And my father had just returned from the Korean War, decided to give his wife and his little baby girl a better life. So he moved to New York and settled in a place called El Barrio, that's Spanish Harlem, for those of you who don't know that. But needless to say, life was extremely hard. And as they both worked multiple jobs to build a life, they realized that in order to continue to grow their family, they wanted to have more children. And as a result of my mother not being able to have children, had a couple of miscarriages, they decided to adopt. And that's where it gets interesting, because that's when me and my brother showed up. They wanted to adopt one, and they walked away with a package deal. They had a chance to realize real quick that sometimes what you pray for, you get in abundance. And so they walked away with twins that day, and at that point, things got a little bit more difficult. We certainly didn't live a life of luxury. There is no life of luxury in Spanish Harlem, and there were many, many lean times. But there was never a shortage of love. There was never a shortage of an environment of safety and care. There was just never a shortage of that. Now, you can imagine that the latest of anything, I'm talking about clothing and toys and all of the cool things that was available back then, is most of the things that I couldn't have access to as a young kid in a very and financially, economically meager home. But we certainly had what we needed. If we wanted to go out and do something where we could have something a little bit better, we had to go out on our own. And by the time I was 13 years old, I figured out if I wanted to have those brand new Adidas or those brand new Pumas or the straight leg Jordache jeans, that I would have to go out and make some money doing it. And there began my entrepreneurial experience at the age of 15, collecting bottles and cans across the street from Central Park. We lived a few blocks away from Central Park, so we would walk up the block there on Saturdays and Sundays, collect bottles and cans and trade them in for a nickel. And I realized at that moment that while some people will see poop, other people will see profit. I saw profit in those cans laying on the ground. I couldn't believe there's people leaving nickels on the ground. And that's how I was able to go out and get those nice sneakers and the jeans and look really cool going to school. But that struck in me an entrepreneurial bug that is still with me today. And through the course of developing, not only, as I said earlier, a career that dealt with, actually, I was 16 years old, I was doing taxes for the neighbors, and then evolved into areas of different entrepreneurial experiences, as I mentioned. And it still continues to expand now with multiple new projects that I have in the wing. I wanted to bring all that to you. I wanted to take all those wonderful experiences and the people that I've met along the way and what I've learned and what they have taught me and bring it to a format that can encourage you to thrive. So what's the purpose for the show? The purpose for the show was to bring a positive message. And by the way, I think there couldn't be a better time than what we're facing right now for a positive message, right? I mean, if you turn on the TV, if you go to any social media site, or if you just hear people chat today, we live in a time where there is an abundance of negativity, abundance of fear, and abundance of challenging times. Yes, I have to agree. We do have some challenging times, but the perception about them and the handling of them is what I think people are now struggling with. And I do believe that the time for a show like this has come where there could be a positive message, a message of empowerment, a message of encouragement. And not only do that, but do that through the showcasing of other people's talents, through their messages, listening to the movers and the shakers and the impact makers that are out there, so that they could bring to the table something that can help you thrive in your life, or if nothing else, change the way you think about a circumstance that you might be facing. So what can you expect from your investment of time with me every week? Because that's what's important, right? The most precious thing I believe that a person has is their time and their money. The two hardest, most difficult things that a person, I submit to you, has trouble parting ways with is their money and their time. Well, I want to talk about the investment of your time that you're going to put into this show every week, because I know that that investment will yield a great return on that investment of time. So here's what you will walk away with. Here's what you can expect every single week as you plug in. Number one, you're going to walk away with something new that you've learned. I'm a big believer that education leads to transformation. That's right. Let me say that again. Education leads to transformation. And you're going to walk away from this show every single week with something new that you've learned, something that you can take action upon, whether it's something that can help you raise a family, something that can help you build a better business, something that can help you become a better person overall, or a better business leader, or a better husband, or a better father, or a better entrepreneur. That's what you're going to walk away with, something that's going to help you learn how to pivot in areas that you're struggling in, whether it's dealing with fear or overcoming anxiety or learning how to communicate better. You're going to walk away with something that you could learn, something that will lead you to the door of a new decision, something that will lead you to the door of a new decision. Now, what you'll do with that, that's up to you. But this investment of time that you're going to give and what you can expect in return will be the content that will help inspire you, that will help create a new area of thriving in your life. To be inspired by someone else's story, to be inspired by someone else's service. We're going to feature incredible people as our featured guests week after week after week. And I'm thinking about all the people that have already signed on to be featured guests. And boy, they are an eclectic group of incredible, marvelous people who all have different stories. And of course, the business spotlight section, we're going to highlight businesses and people that are doing something very innovative, very creative, that are bringing something fresh and new to an industry with great perspectives on how to change your life through their service or their product. But we're going to highlight those people, and you're going to learn what's out there that you didn't know existed before that can help in your decision-making process, whether it's for a service or a product. I'm excited about those business spotlights. There's some incredible people. But we're going to tackle some topics, some very important topics of impact. We're not just going to have fun and learn and tell some jokes and have a good time, but we're going to tackle some topics that are important and put a positive spin on them so that you could see how something negative can have a positive lining on it if you look at it a little bit differently. So I am thankful that you are joining me for this journey of Thrive Time, and I look forward to having you week to week on our show. Now, before we get started and bring in our first guest in a few minutes, we're going to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Hey everyone, this is Jay Maymi from the Jay Maymi Talk Show. I want to encourage you to visit my site, thejmaymi.com, for further resources and video and information that can help you thrive in any area of your particular life. If you are interested in becoming more, experiencing more, and thriving more, then can I encourage you to visit my website, thejmaymi.com. There you're going to find my books and videos, and I also encourage you to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is @thejmaymi, and make sure to visit me at thejmaymi.com. My friends, did you know that if you only have state minimum coverage and you total a really nice car, that you may not have enough coverage and you could be sued by the insurance company? That's right, not all coverage is the same. And it's absolutely necessary to work with an insurance agency that has your best interest at heart. That's where Texas Edge Insurance comes in. Not only are they trusted experts, but as an independent agency, they have access to over 30 well-respected companies to get you the right coverage. So if insurance peace of mind is what you seek, call Texas Edge Insurance at 817-406-2929 or visit them at texasedgeagency.com.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Welcome back to Thrive Time with Jay Maymi.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Jay Maymi Show. I have been a major proponent of psychology and behavioral patterns and behavioral sciences ever since I attended college and received my degrees in those areas. But quite frankly, the greatest lessons I've learned have always been in the street. I've always been working with people and dealing with people. Long before I ever read anything in any book and learned the academic side of it, I had been learning these techniques and these traits that people exhibit 7 years prior, as I said earlier, in my entrepreneurial development. But I'm a big believer in the truth that it's all about the way you think. Hence, my first guest in our inaugural show, I think is the epitome, is the person who epitomizes the truth behind the way you think. And I'm very excited today to have Dr. Hank Seitz. He's a renowned mental scientist, behavioral psychologist, and an author. And he helps people. He's passionate about people becoming a better version of themselves, realizing their greatest possibility. And with that in mind, I thought, boy, if there's ever a guest I'd love to open up my show, it would have to be Dr. Hank. So, Dr. Hank, thank you for being on the show and appreciate you being here, brother.
Well, you bet, Jay. And Jay Maymi, you are just the best, baby. And I'm so looking forward to this. It's going to be just a fun time. And I welcome your audience to really experience the power that each one of us have. And that power is in our thoughts. And in fact, all of science has come to agree. And this is a neuroscientist, a quantum physicists, a molecular biologist, all the different science disciplines have agreed that in about the last 5 years that the way to create anything in our life comes with 3 steps. And so those 3 steps are, the first one, it's our thought. So it's not what's going on out in the world. It's not what's happening, to your relationship or how you've been in the past. It has to do with our current thoughts. And then according to the scientists, that these thoughts then create energy. But to you and I, that energy is our emotions. So, for most of us, especially us guys, Jay, we've been told through the years, hey, don't show your emotions and, be rough, tough, whatever. And the fact is that our emotions are really the name of the game. Our thoughts create these emotions, and these emotions, think of them like a signal that goes out to God Almighty, and God receives that signal and then responds instantly to that signal. And that's why all of our prayers are answered. That our prayer, our thoughts aren't just when we're on our knees and our hands are folded. That our prayer is our everyday thought. So for all of us right now, Jay, to think about, what does that mean? Like, what have I been thinking about just today? Or in the last 10 minutes. And usually we're thinking about things we don't like, we don't want, that things that disturb us because we've been taught, go find a problem, or the problem comes to us and let's go beat it down and let's get it. Well, the more that we force and try to do that, the more we're creating these things that we don't want. So step 1 is our thoughts. Step 2 is our energy, which is our emotions. And then the third step is, according to the scientists, that energy then creates matter, M-A-T-T-E-R. And that's why thoughts become things. Now, what the scientists forgot is that we have our, let's call it our higher self, our higher power, God, the universe, whatever word that, each one of you are comfortable with thinking about, but we each have that. And that higher power, that God, we're made in the image and likeness of God. And so the scientists left that out, but I've included that in. So
as well you should.
Yeah. So it actually is, the way that it plays out, is that our thoughts create energy, and that energy goes to step 3, which isn't the matter, the thoughts become things, if you will, but it actually goes to God, our higher self. And so that third step, and again, that's where it's received and it's answered. But here's the catch-all, is we typically think, but I've thought a lot of thoughts and it hasn't come true. And here's why. Is, let's say we wake up in the morning. Let's say we all woke up this morning. We just said, man, I feel so good. I'm going to have a tremendous day that I'm going to listen to the Jay Maymi show, and I'm just going to love it, and it's going to inspire me and take me to the next thing, and I'm going to feel great, and I'm going to attract wonderful people. And so we're saying all those things, and let's call that the color yellow, okay? So we're thinking about these beautiful yellow things, the things that we want. But then as the day starts going on, your right knee hurts, and you start thinking about your right knee, and then you get a bad call, and the deal fell through or whatever, and you got into an argument, and you had some bad food. And so what happens is that we got a little energy going there. That always happens too. You gotta watch it. All kinds of music and stuff starts flying with the angels are going, and we're having fun. And so what happens is we start thinking about those things we don't want, we don't like, and so let's call that the color red. Okay, so I was thinking about yellow, but then I was thinking about red and these things that have come into my life, whatever. And when we mix yellow and red, we get orange. And so we say to ourselves, I didn't ask for oranges in my life, and we end up getting oranges. So what I do is I help people to really focus, and I have all kinds of books. I'm right now writing my 14th book. My last book was Your Royal Path to Riches, and it basically is how to tap into your subconscious mind and really change those beliefs. So step one now, so again, back to how it really plays out, is our thoughts create energy. That energy goes to God. God receives it. God answers it. But there's a step 4, and that is we need to believe it. So the things that we have. So that's why like affirmations that say like, I am wealthy. You can say that for the rest of your life and you'll never become wealthy. And here's why. Is we have our conscious mind that is saying these things and directing the subconscious mind, which is also called in the Bible the kingdom within us, okay? And so our subconscious mind has recorded every thought since our conception, every thought we've had, every feeling we've had, and every experience we've had. And it has come up with an opinion. Our subconscious mind has come up with an opinion about every subject under the sun. And those opinions are called beliefs. So if I say, I am wealthy, my subconscious mind, and I don't know if I can swear here or not, but our subconscious mind goes, bullshit. It says, you've been telling me for years how you don't have enough money and there isn't enough, that things are playing out right, the bad deal you kept on thinking about, and you lost this job and you're mad over losing the job. And so don't tell me you're wealthy, you aren't. And so in actually Matthew 17, it says, when 2 of you agree, it shall be manifested on earth. Well, those 2 aren't 2 people. It means when our conscious mind agrees with our subconscious mind, and I have the magical equation to be able to tap into that subconscious mind, improve our beliefs so that we can have that agreement between our conscious and our subconscious.
Now that's just amazing. And folks, I got to tell you something that as rich of content that the doctor just shared with us. Sometimes when you listen to it for the first time, if it is your first time listening to it, you don't comprehend, right? Yeah, because it certainly isn't something that's taught academically at any grade school level, college, high school, what have you. And certain things in life, they have to be caught. They cannot be taught.
I love that. Yeah, for sure. In fact, that if we don't hear things, typically we have to hear things about 6 times before we even start accepting it. So if it is your first time that you've heard these ideas, then what I would suggest you do is just take it easy, take a deep breath in, and just say, well, you know, if this could maybe improve my life, maybe I could start doing this. And so just to be open to it, and I call this allowing, to allow yourself, give yourself permission to be happier, to have more money, to have deeper, more meaningful and loving relationships. And as you give yourself permission to do that, that you will see that your cup starts to overflow. And that's this momentum. So all of us have had the unwanted momentum where we say, you know, it just can't, this day just can't get any worse. And then it gets even worse. Well, that's that momentum going, okay? And that's that law of attraction that whatever I'm focused on expands. So think to yourself, what have I been focusing on? If I've been focusing on, oh my gosh, the things that I can't control, like the protests, which there's needed reform there, but you know, you can't do anything about that, those protests, but we actually are doing something right right now about, and we can talk later about it, but about that reform or about this virus. It is the flu. It's a serious one, but it's the flu. And I actually have CDC facts that really show that, if you're going to school or if you're a working age, the odds of you dying from this is like you dying in a car accident when you went to work or went to school today. And most of us didn't do that, but that, and so really, it's really about your thought. We are, and catch this, and folks, I'd write this one down. That, in fact, I'd start writing these things down, then review it afterwards, and kind of say, hey, what do I want? But just capture this, if you will, that we are each creators of our own experience. My God, we don't be afraid of anything about any dis-ease, any flu, anything that's going on in this world. It doesn't matter as long as I'm thinking about health and that all is well and getting better. And so this momentum that we were talking about, that it actually gets where it just gets better and better. And literally some people say, oh, Dr. Hank, you're living in La La Land. And I say to you that you would love to live in Dr. Hank's La La Land. And we each have the ability to do that, because when you can imagine it, that when you can believe it, you will then see it. But we've been taught at school and the different things, I got to see it first before I believe it. And when we do that, what happens is you'll never see it, because you don't believe it. If you'll believe first, then you will see it. You can't see something without first believing it.
Well, isn't that the definition of faith?
There
right?
you go.
That's the definition of faith, right? Being able to believe in something long before you see it.
Exactly.
And even though we know what faith means, oftentimes we struggle with the application of it.
Yes.
Because it forces us to believe in something we haven't seen yet.
You bet.
Dr. Hank, I'm excited about our next segment we're going to get to.
Too.
But right now, we're going to go to our sponsors. They have a word to say as well. We'll be right back. If you're a business owner who's concerned about staying compliant with HR regulatory laws and protecting your biggest asset, then you need EM2HR Alliance. EM2HR Alliance not only is passionate about helping you protect your business, but provides sound HR advice to improve employee relations and minimize risk. With an easy-to-use employment database platform and flat rates based on a tier, there's no reason not to call them. If keeping your business safe and compliant is what you seek, then call them at 321-247-8492. You can also visit their website at em2hr.com for HR peace of mind.
For nearly 100 years, folks have trusted Blue Star medicated ointment to relieve the pain and itching of almost any skin irritation.
It works on my son's dry itching feet and their jock itch.
I had this rash on my neck. Nothing worked until Blue Star.
Blue Star worked great on my ringworm without steroids.
My wife and I have been using Blue Star for years. It's never let us down.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
I've always wanted to learn another language, but every time I try, it never sticks. So I decided to give Babbel a try, and I really like the teaching method of the app. I started with the beginner lesson on Babbel, and it starts with simple words and phrases, and soon you're putting those words into a conversation. Each lesson takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting. The app is really smart. It actually keeps track of the words I'm struggling with so I can practice them and get better. I chose Babbel because it was created by real language teachers. They built it around real life, how people actually communicate, and what they care about. I can't wait to use my new language skills in the real world. Dos cervezas, por favor.
With Babbel, get conversational in Spanish, French, German, and more. It just takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Welcome back to Thrive Time with Jay Maymi.
Welcome back, everyone. We have here in studio Dr. Hank Seitz. And boy, our first segment with Dr. Hank was powerful. In the break, we were just chatting about how important it is to really recognize what we have internally as a powerful force for change. And this next segment is going to be even more impacting as I at happening to you touched on it earlier. Elaborating on that, though, how can our thoughts make a difference in not only staying positive, but staying productive?
Yes, you bet. And these for many of us have been challenging times, but they actually don't have to be. In fact, when we kind of got shut down, if you will, in February, that I recognize, and so it's about this thought, and so I'd like each one of us to embrace these thoughts. And again, I'd suggest that you write it down, but the first thought is that this world it has all just the perfect contrast in it. It has everything we want and everything we don't want. And if we didn't have these things that we don't want, we couldn't birth new ideas about the things that we do want. So if everything were just okay, we just we wouldn't even exist, because for our eternity to be able to continue, it's this desire to wanting more, and all of us want more. So when these changes happen, I just recognize that all changes do is provide opportunity. These were big changes in the world, so I started looking for big opportunities, and I found them everywhere. I found them in relationships and where I just started looking, and I started asking. See, when we ask for the things that we want, normally most of us are asking for the things we don't want. Oh, I hope I don't get sick. What happens is we start creating sickness within us. That, I hope I don't get this, horrific coronavirus. If you say that it becomes horrific coronavirus, and it'll come to you, because we are the attractors of everything in our life. This world is not a world of insertion. It just doesn't come in and you get sick. It's that you have thought about it, that you have attracted it. So for us to recognize that this is just big opportunities, let me just share a few of the opportunities that have happened with me, because I was looking and asking for big, good, wanted opportunities. So one of those opportunities was, I have 3 sons. They're in 3 locations in the United States, none of them here in Dallas where I live. And so I would hit or miss on Facebook trying to see them and the grandchildren, whatever. And when this happened, all of a sudden I had a thought. And see, this is these divine thoughts, God's thoughts. When you ask for, hey, I want a better life, I want deeper, more meaningful relationships, for example, with my children in this case, that what happens is that I get these thoughts, and they're divine thoughts. God gives me the thoughts, answers my prayers, and one of the ways that God does that is through our thoughts. And so we have these magnificent thoughts, and so I had this thought on, why don't I do a Zoom call with all 3 of my sons and their families on Sunday afternoon. That way I'm not hitting and missing and wasting all this time. And so now we're just having a glorious time. Every Sunday we're together, we're connecting. And so it's just, one example. I asked for more opportunities. One of the industries that I specialize in, help people become their greatest possibility, is in real estate. And so I shared with my real estate agents all over the country, that I shared with them, let's look for the opportunities. And so we started developing these amazing programs that help first responders, for example, and help their families. And so, these first responders, they're the ones that have been, out in the midst of all of this coronavirus and everything. They've been helping many, many people. The bad things that happen is actually, the statistic is 99.993% of all incidences, for example, with police are good. It's this 0.007 that we have to address, and we are addressing. But the fact is that, see, this world is really a beautiful, beautiful world, but we have to look for it, and we have to ask for that beauty to come out. So and then my real estate agents have had more business than ever. They've had more service than ever. They've done it with heart more than they've ever had. And I have some real estate agents that in the last 3 months have done more business than they ever had in a 3-month period before. So it's all a matter of how we are thinking about it, and that's the power in this. And so for all of us to think about that, hey, I'm healthy, and so talk and think about health. Don't think about things, and here's a great tip, is don't think about anything you can't control. I can't control the government. I can't control this virus. I can't control the riots and protests. But I can control, and for all of us, we always have 2 things we can control. We can control our thoughts, and we can control our feelings. And the way we control our feelings is by having good thoughts. You'll have good feelings. In fact, I want to get into just a section here on understanding what our feelings are. And so, again, most of us have been told, hey, especially us guys, Jay, that, we've been told, hey, don't show your feelings. Well, in fact, our feelings is our communication system with our higher self, with our divine self, with God, whatever words, again, that you feel most comfortable. And so before we came here, it kind of went this way. We said to God, so how do we communicate? Is it going to be through English? Is it going to be through Spanish? And God goes, oh, no, dear, my dear beloved child, I have the perfect way to communicate. And you go, really? And say, every moment of every day that you're going to be guided by me. And we go, hallelujah. How are we going to do that? And God says, through your emotions. So when you feel bad, so when you're thinking about coronavirus or, disempowerment, you can't do anything about it, that in fact, you're not thinking about this subject like God is. But when you think about these changes as, hey, the world is changing, it's creating more opportunities, you feel good. And by that feeling good, it means you're on your lighted path. So the greatest thing you could ever ask for this day to be is that you feel better. Because when you feel better, and God will give you the thoughts to feel better, when you feel better, that means you're lined up with your source, with your inner being, with your divine self, with your soul, with God Almighty. And then you're on your magical trip and you're just skipping along on this golden road that will provide you all the things that you have dreamed of.
That is amazing. I appreciate that wisdom in such a big way. So, Doctor, in all of the folks over your very long career of coaching and speaking and writing and corporations who bring you in to speak to their employees, is it possible for someone to maximize peak performance without first learning how to quarantine their minds
I love
from negativity?
That. Quarantine your minds from negativity. Yeah. So first of all, I want to reposition the question, because if I'm focused on quarantining negative thoughts, I have to think about negative thoughts.
That's absolutely true.
So the first, it's kind of like, okay, none of us think about a pink elephant. God darn it, that pink elephant jumps up into my mind. And so it is more about, so the perfect words to use and the ideal words go in your subconscious mind, the signal to send to God and to have your prayers answered is that I ask for better feeling thoughts. And when you ask for better feeling thoughts, it will lead to this momentum of better feeling thoughts and a better feeling thought and a better feeling thought and answers, solutions, and magical things will start happening. You'll start not only attracting better feeling thoughts, but you'll attract people that will make you feel better. You'll attract events and circumstances. So if you want to be a top performer, that you just need to feel good. And that, to most of us, have been, oh no, I got to work hard, I got to struggle, I got to sacrifice. And you don't have to do any of that. What has happened is we've seen our parents or other people, and they say, oh, I worked hard, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And really, all of everything. So, for example, let's take a Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan first had the thought of he wanted to be the best. Then he didn't care about all this work. It wasn't work to him. It was a passion. So you want to think about, what action am I going to take? And it's inspired action. And so don't worry. Like, in fact, if you'll just daydream and just think about some previous thing in your life that just happened, your first child being born, just get into that beautiful groove of being in the stream of life, being so appreciative of the things that you had before. And as you do, that it will start creating this momentum and you'll have this energy. Your point of attraction shall raise up and your vibration shall increase and you shall meet the vibration of of your desires and shall meet the vibration of God and be at one with God, and you will be literally in the stream of life, and it's all because you ask for better feeling thoughts. And then you'll be a top performer in everything.
You know, some things seem so simple that people miss it, right? Yeah. They seem so simple. That's why I'm so grateful that you have been able to carve out time from your busy schedule to join us for the show today.
Sure.
So, Doctor, where could people find you, learn more about you, reach out to you for more of this wisdom?
So I have, if you go under Dr. on Amazon, Dr. Hank, and then Seitz, Seitz, that I have all my books there. And but probably the best way, like I'm just, I like it one-on-one. I mean, just reach out to me. My email is drhank@drhank.biz, B-I-Z, and call me. And you'll see, I'm, like you said, oh, you're real busy. I'm actually not busy at all because I never say I'm busy. I always say plenty of time, and God makes plenty of time for me. And so my number is 214-753-7204. And if I can help you, that I have some people, I've helped people overcome, I literally helped thousands of people overcome cancer, build billion-dollar businesses, to be happier, better relationships, whatever. And so, you know, whether it's a quote-unquote problem that you have, and we'll get a solution and an answer for you, or if you just want to become more, if you want to be, do, and have more, then just give me a call. And you'll see how easy it is, how fun it is. And like if you're thinking, oh, I don't have enough money about that, don't worry. You're going to have plenty of money from now on.
You can also find him at our website. His information will be up at our site, thejmaymitalkshow.com. Guys, we'll be right back.
If boosting your immunity, decreasing inflammation and pain, or improving your sleep could bring you a better quality of life and well-being, then you need to experience whole-body cryotherapy with the industry experts at iCryo. This non-invasive therapy by the knowledgeable staff at iCryo offers many benefits to help you feel great and get back to thriving. Find out more at iCryo.com and mention the Jay Maymi Show for a special offer. iCryo, 6363 Dallas Parkway in Frisco, and at iCryo.com.
Are you ready to buy a home but have been turned down from another lender or just don't know where to begin? Don't give up on your dream. Your local Texas team at Angel Oak Home Loans may have the perfect solution for you. They offer traditional loans and a portfolio suite of products to help customers with financing needs. Contact your Angel Oak Home Loans Texas team today. Visit DonnieWalton.com or call them 214-280-5716. Not a commitment to lend. All loans are subject to credit approval. NMLS 685842, Equal Housing Lender.
Attention, doctors and managers of healthcare. Is your business trying to get rid of old X-ray film? Do you have X-ray film that you need destroyed? National Precious Metals has the best service and pricing in X-ray film recycling. Call 855-534-2448 and speak to them today about turning your X-ray film into cash. Since 1981, National Precious Metals has serviced hospitals, clinics, and industrial labs. They work with almost 80% of all healthcare facilities in the United States. This makes them the leaders in X-ray film recycling. National Precious Metals is fully compliant with all federal, state, and local regulations, along with being OSHA and HIPAA certified. What are you waiting for? Call National Precious Metals today for pickup service or a free quote at 855-534-2448. That's 855-534-2448. Or email them at nationalpreciousmetals@gmail.com. That's nationalpreciousmetals@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Thrive Time with Jay Maymi.
So welcome back, everyone. We're going to feature today in our business spotlight someone that I've had a chance to meet recently, and I was so impressed with him, with his knowledge of real estate, that I invited him to be here today as our business spotlight. So I'm very excited to introduce to you really a well-known realtor in the DFW area that as you get to know him, as I have gotten to know him, you're going to probably give him a call for your real estate needs or questions or advice or wisdom. So please help welcome to the Jay Maymi Talk Show, Troy Olson. Troy, welcome.
Hey, Jay. Thanks for having me.
So, Troy, I'm excited to have you here really as our guest for our inaugural show because, as you know, real estate is a big component of the DFW area. But before we dive into some of your wisdom, could you share with us who you are and a little bit of your story?
Sure. So I'm originally a farm boy from a small town in Wisconsin. Both parents grew up on farms, a hard-working family, and was very interested in real estate at a young age, as we would maybe look to buy or rent another farm to grow more crops to feed all of our cattle. And it's something that stayed with me for a while. And about 15 years ago, I started my real estate career in Arizona, and worked that market for 2 years before finally getting over to Texas in the fall of 2005, and have been in residential real estate ever since then.
Interesting. So how did you end up getting here? You're from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
How'd you find us?
So after I graduated college in Wisconsin, I moved to Minneapolis for the summer, and my first real job out of college was promotional advertising. So anything that you could advertise, your company, logo, shirts, hats, pens, stuff like that. I got into that industry and was introduced to a gentleman who had a wireless communication facility in Phoenix, and he had asked me to come and work for him. He saw something in me when I sold him all his promotional advertising products to support a golf hole, ironically, in Minneapolis. And so I started in promotional advertising, only did that for about 90 days, and then got into telecommunication products, cellular phones, two-way radios, pagers, satellite dishes. And he had an office in Phoenix, and he asked me to go out there. So at the age of 22, never been on a commercial airplane, didn't know a soul, picked up and moved to Phoenix. And that's where, I met somebody through a mutual friend that was in real estate, and really got hooked again on the interest level. Got my real estate license in Arizona in January of 2004, and then got my real estate license in Texas in the fall of 2005, and moved here.
So you're coming up on your almost 20th year anniversary.
Yeah.
As a realtor.
Yeah, it's been, has it been that long? Is that why my hair is gray?
Well, one of the things that I believe it's important whenever you start a business or a career, or looking at someone as your choice of service provider, is the longevity of the person in that industry. Uh-huh. And clearly, coming up on 20 years, you've seen the ups and downs. You've weathered the storm of 2008 and 2007. So that's a true testimony to your professionalism and the quality of service you provide. But, realtors, as I've learned as I've moved here, there's no shortage of realtors here. I mean, there's no shortage of realtors back in New York. But it seems like out here, when you move to Texas, at least as I've experienced, there's two licenses you have to have. One is a driver's license, and then I think the other one's a real estate license.
Yeah, I've heard numbers between 50 and 60,000 realtors on the books in DFW. Not all of them are active, but everybody knows a handful of people, with their Texas real estate license.
I think there are a lot of card-carrying members out there.
Well, just because you have a license to do something doesn't mean you're good at it.
That's exactly right. And that actually presents my next question. Considering there are so many realtors out there with licenses, all well-meaning, but even I know that it doesn't really matter how many licenses you may have. It doesn't matter how many years you have in a certain field. It's about what makes you different. And what would you say to our listeners, Troy, if they're wondering, so what makes Troy Olson different from the other person who's a real estate licensed professional? What would you say makes you different, Troy?
Sure. So, I've said this for a long time. I'm in the real estate business, but I'm really in the business of communication. And we live in a world where everybody wants everything right now. You and I were talking about that, when we were coming up the elevator. And I've tried to set myself apart, with my response time. And I have that in my listing presentation, in my buyer consult, is that if it takes me longer than 90 minutes to respond to you via phone or email, you can fire me. So my response time, and then I would like to say that, my ability to negotiate at the end of the day, get the deal done, because that's what it's all about, for our clients.
Yeah, I'd say there was an experience where I had, I guess it was a couple months ago, I was dealing with a realtor for I forgot what it was for, and it irked me that when I didn't follow through on even speaking to the realtor, because one of the things that I didn't like was when I called her cell phone and heard her voicemail, and I'm thinking about who the person is right now as I'm going through it. She actually had a voicemail that said, if it's after 5 o'clock on Friday, call me on Monday. I thought to myself, she can't be that successful if she has a Monday through Friday mindset in the real estate business.
Agreed. There's a reason that I'm in the top 2% of all realtors in DFW, and it's because, I communicate. Yes, we have retail hours. A lot of stuff doesn't happen until maybe 9 o'clock in the morning during the week. But yeah, we're working at night. We're working on weekends because that's prime hunting season for us.
So let me ask you one question then. What would you say is a great testimonial that you could provide that not only highlights your professionalism, your get up and go-ness, but more importantly, the service that you provide through the wisdom that you've acquired? What's a great testimony you can share?
So several years ago, there was a listing opportunity that came up north of Salina, and it was 10 or 12 acre, call it a little hobby farm mini ranch. And none of the other realtors on the team that were handling relocation business had any interest to go up there and to go that far. I mean, when I moved here in 2005, if you said you were going to Prosper, that was like going to Oklahoma, and Salina was Canada. Gunner would have been the North Pole at that point. Obviously, the business continues to grow that direction. And because it was a hobby farm or a mini ranch, I was like pumped up to have the opportunity to go there because that's as close to my roots as I'm going to get without actually going, home to Wisconsin to the farm. And at the meantime, I had a client that was looking to relocate here for their job that was kind of looking for something like that. So after the listing interview, I walked out on the patio and I called my buyer and I said, Dave, I think I found what you're looking for. And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I put him on FaceTime and I showed him the property, and they jumped in the car and they drove down here. Now, that's one of the very, very rare occurrences where I represented, the seller and the buyer on the same transaction. That doesn't happen, especially with 50 or 60,000 realtors in DFW. But that's an opportunity where I went out and did something that somebody else maybe wasn't willing to do because it was so far, but was able to, happily work with both clients and my buyers to this day. I'm still in contact with them. They absolutely love that product and are glad that I was able to locate that, before.
So you went the extra mile, and that's what generated you to build a client relationship that to this day loves you.
Absolutely. And again, it was 2 referrals, or it was two transactions, but also referrals from the gentleman and his wife that bought that property that I was willing to, work so hard to find something that just didn't really exist, in the MLS at the time. It was pre-MLS listing.
I'm sure we could probably spend another hour on many more testimonies you have just like that throughout the course of your career. But why did you get involved in real estate? Your background had nothing that would indicate a realtor in the making.
So
what's that answer?
Back in January, or really the fall of 2003, I thought I was ready to buy my first property to live in. I was tired of renting, tired of living in apartments. And I was coming out of the grocery store in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I was living at the time, and picked up a real estate magazine. And I was looking through it, and I found this townhome that I thought I was interested in. So, of course, not knowing, how the real estate world works, as I had never bought or sold anything, I called the realtor and asked him if I could see the property, and we agreed to meet the following, which was a Sunday. He was like 30 or 40 minutes late to the property, and then when we got there, he really didn't know anything about the property, which it was his own listing. So, I mean, I've always, now that I'm 15, 18 years into this, if you ask me about bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, price, details of any one of my current listings, I know that. And I just didn't feel like he knew anything about the property. So me and all my wisdom said, well, this is easy. I'll just get my real estate license and represent myself. And I literally started real estate school in Arizona the following week.
Amazing.
To go and just do myself.
Amazing. Let me ask you a couple of questions that are very, very relevant to the time that we're in now. And of course, we're living in unprecedented times, right? It's tough on everyone, even those that are in the real estate business. But what advice could you give a new buyer and a homeowner that is looking to sell for them to be mindful of during these unprecedented times?
Sure. So let's start with the seller. What I tell the sellers is, people are still buying homes, and we have a 2-year low supply of inventory in DFW right now. So the reassurance that I can put in a seller's head is, leave all the lights on and leave all the interior doors open. That way the buyer and the buyer's agent doesn't really have to touch anything other than the front door. We're out there showing homes. We are in masks and, supplying hand sanitizer, to our clients and stuff like that. From a buyer perspective, we just have to set the expectation that, because there's such a low level of inventory, if people are going out to be a first-time home buyer, they got to be a little patient, because yes, we're starting to see multiple offers and bidding wars, in all price points, just because there's such low level of inventory. So realtors really have to be we should be professional every day, all day, but really be extremely professional and patient as we all work through, like you said, a territory that we have never been in before, and we don't know what normal looks like or when normal will come again.
Okay. One last question for you, my friend. What current challenges or potential challenges do you feel the real estate industry could be facing that you're preparing for?
Yeah, so this is a relationship business. I talked about this, on my podcast. Brian Buffini talks about belly to belly, really that relationship of creating it, in person. And because everything is so virtual and on Zoom and on Skype and on calls, we don't have the ability to maybe develop as close of a relationship over the phone, over a computer, that we do, in person, where we've been operating from in the past X amount of years.
Well, Troy, I think you've been a real joy to have here in our studio today. I couldn't think of a better person to launch our program with than you. You're clearly a homegrown guy. Even though you're not from the area, you've become sort of a recognizable figure in real estate in the DFW area. Where could people find you, and who do you represent?
Yeah, so Troy Olson, I'm with Keller Williams, the Dallas Preston Road Market Center in North Dallas, and the best way to get me is either phone 972-804-8803, or you can certainly email me, Troy Olson. I'm on all the social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Would love the opportunity to answer any real estate questions or help you out in any way that I can.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our first episode is in the books. We appreciate you being part of the show today. Look forward to having you come back next week when we're going to continue to give you reasons and experiences for you to thrive. See you next week, everyone.
Jay Maymi writes in his latest bestseller, Battling Invisible Enemies, Facing Your Inner Struggles Head-On, that your potential to thrive will always be hindered if you're battling invisible enemies of worry, fear, doubt, and discouragement that only stagger and stunt your focus, your energy, your creativity, and your joy. Go to thejmaymi.com for a copy of the book that many are calling a masterpiece. Battling Invisible Enemies, Facing Your Inner Struggles Head-On at thejmaymi.com. That's THEJAYMAYMI.com.
The preceding program was furnished by Survive to Thrive Enterprises and is responsible for its content.